Hello, Math 8. We're going to continue our lesson on slope remotely. The past week we were in class and you learned how to find slope given two ordered pairs. The week before you did slope by the counting method. So today I want you to make sure you know how to interpret slope. Just like when we did intercepts, you knew how to interpret an intercept. So the first example here says, a family is filling up a pool. Yes, they're filling it, not draining it like before. And they're recording how much water is in the pool. So it says, what does the slope represent? So the first thing we have to do is actually find the slope. There are four ordered pairs in your table. You can pick any two ordered pairs that you want. I'm going to pick 10, 40, and 13, 52. So, the slope formula, I'll write it up here if you forgot what it was from class. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I think I've told you this in class. I like to make my first ordered pair always number 2 and my second ordered pair number 1, so I can just go left to right when I'm doing the slope formula. You draw your fraction bar, minus, and a minus. So in this first lot, I'm going to put a 40 minus 52 over 10 minus 13. When you do your math, it gives you negative 12 over negative 3. Two negatives become a positive, and 12 over 3 is 1. 4 over 1, I'm sorry. Now, one thing I want you to write down or know, that this is a positive slope, so something has to be increasing or going up. When you go to interpret slope, it's always the y's over the x's. So if you go over here and look at your table, the y values is the amount of water. When you're doing your homework, you don't need to do this, but this is your notes. I would encourage you to. That's in gallons. And on the bottom is time in minutes. So we have to take this slope of 4 over 1 and write it in a sentence. Now this is about a pool being filled. So I'm going to say the pool, I just wrote F, have you get rid of that? Pool is with a P. The pool is filled by 4 gallons every minute. If you want to write 1 minute, you can. But here's the things I'm going to be looking for. Did you use a word that was positive, like filled? Did you use the 4? And did you use the 1 every minute? The pool is filled by 4 gallons every minute. Or you could say the pool is increasing by 4 gallons every minute. The second one, another table. Pick any two ordered pairs you want. The table shows wages earned by a waitress. So I'm going to pick 0, 0, and I believe that's an 8.50. I'm going to do F equals fraction bar minus minus, 0 minus 50, 0 minus 8. That's negative 50 over negative 8. Now when you divide this, you get, or you try to simplify it, you get improper fraction. So this is one when you want to divide it out. So when you divide this, you get 6.25, or you get 6 1/4, or 25 over 4. But we don't want 25 over 4 because we're interpreting. We want this 6.25. And again, this is positive, not negative. So something has to be increasing or going up. Again, if you don't need to do this, you don't have to, but I'm going to because this is your notes. This is money earned in dollars. On the bottom is hours worked. And this is about a waitress. So my sentence could be, the waitress earns $6.25 every hour. Again, there's several things I'm looking for. Did you incorporate a positive word, earns? You have the money earned, $6.25, and do you have hours? So those are two table examples. From a graph, you can do this two different ways, and I'm going to show you two ways on this one. It says the graph shows the altitude of a driver in a car as he descends down a mountain. He's going down. Now, typically when we get a graph, we can do the counting method. But be careful when you do the counting method on this one. From this point down to here, I just don't go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is not going by ones. So this is at 1,500 and I'm going down to 0. So this is actually down 1,500. Then you go right 6. Now, if I'm using the counting method, down is negative, right is positive, and if I simplify this, I get negative 250 over 1. And yes, this is negative, so I have to use a falling word or going downward. This part you really don't need to write, but I'm going to write it. The y's is really the altitude in feet. The x is really time in hours. So when I go and write my sentence, it has to be a negative word about a driver descending down the mountain. So I'm going to write, let me grab blue. The driver is descending, there's my negative, down a mountain, $250, and this is feet, every hour. So I'm looking for decreasing 250 every hour. We have one more, and it's another graph, but I'm going to have to do this one differently because they give me ordered pairs. There. So if you want, you can use your ordered pairs, which I'm going to use in this example. This is about gas being used during a car trip. So even though they give me a graph, you might not want to do the counting method, so you can use your ordered pairs. Now, this is 0 to 4, so in between it must be a 2. And this is a dash, and then there's 64, and that's 64 more than 28, so this must be going by 32. So one of my ordered pairs is 132, and another one I have is 264. So I'm going to do the slope formula, minus, 32, 64, 1, 2. Slope is negative 32 over negative 1, which turns out to be positive 32 over 1. I'm going to make sure I know what my y's are. This is distance driven in miles. On the bottom is gas used in gallons. Now remember, this slope is positive, so I need to use a positive word when I'm describing it. So I'm going to say the gas used increases 32, and that refers to miles every gallon. You could say it differently than me, but But the things I'm looking for is it being increased 32 miles every gallon. And that's how you interpret slope. Make sure you have good sentences and you pay attention to your X's and your Y's when you're describing.